Breaking news, breaking news. Yes, coming. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was in court today. Yes, his case was called today at the Federal High Court. Today is the 8th of December 2025, exactly a Monday. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case was called in court today. But, of course, he was represented by his brother and, of course, a counsel appointed to also stand for him today, the 8th of December. You recall that Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for, a transfer from Sokoto State to another prison close by where he can file his appeal appropriately, or that the judge himself should give an order to enable him to file his appeal from Sokoto directly, or a court closer, to his prison where he can file the appeal and they can transfer it, to Abuja. Nnamdi Kanu, was in court earlier this month for this issue. And Omotosho said that he should bring his lawyer the next day of the court, which was the 8th. And that is where we are right now, because today, Nnamdi Kanu's brother, Prince Kanu, alongside the counsel, was there in the court as the case was called. And I'll walk you through that case and how it went today. So whatever you're doing, please leave it and focus on this video, or go and finish it up, and when you're done, you come back, because you don't want to miss a bit of what I'm about to tell you. Yes. Take a second to like this video. If it's your first time, subscribe and click on the bell and select all notifications to get notified whenever we release a video. You're welcome to Direct on the Spot, and I'm your host, Chi-Ne-Du. Let's dive right in. Today, Nnamdi Kanu was in court again to test the waters on his case. Of course, the illegal sentencing to Sokoto State, the illegal sentencing by Justice Omotosho, in fact, by Justice Adjournment Omotosho, sentencing him unnecessarily to Sokoto State to frustrate any effort at him, having a fighting chance for his case. This is because Omotosho already know that there is nothing in the case to indict Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and it's that fear that made him to throw him all the way to Sokoto. And not only that, Omotosho also know that he's going to file appeal, and it is the same High Court that is going to, grant the warrant for the prison to present him in the first place. So there has been a secret conspiracy fighting against Nnamdi Kanu ever appealing that case. But Nnamdi Kanu, notwithstanding, filed a motion to the High Court demanding immediate transfer from that Sokoto prison to enable him file that appeal. And that's what brought us to this day, the 8th of December, the day Omotosho said that Nnamdi Kanu should bring his lawyer to move the motion before the court, and the court should hear the case. So the court began by Omotosho calling other cases of people who were also in court for one thing or the other. And after some time, the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was called. And as it was called, Prince Emmanuel and the counsel presented themselves before the court and, of course, got ready to move the motion, and in fact moved that motion demanding, for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to be moved closer to the court to enable him to file the appeal, or he should be allowed to file that appeal in a court closer to Sokoto, as in Sokoto High Court or Sokoto Judiciary, to make it easier for him to file that appeal properly, and also to prepare the affidavits responsible for that appeal. Of course, Nnamdi Kanu has already given notice for the appeal. As you know, there are some filings that are very important, that are responsible for the general filing of that appeal, which Nnamdi Kanu is yet to do. So after the motion was moved, Omotosho took a bit while and gave his judgment. Omotosho then said that presently in the court, the prosecution team are not there, and also the prison team are not there, and he needs to give judgment in their presence. He now said that he should file a motion on notice that will compel the prosecution and also the Sokoto prison to reply and also present themselves in court. He said that these people are not in the court now, and it will be bad of him to give judgment when they are not there. Thereby, he refused to grant that motion as an ex parte motion, rather changing it to be a motion on appeal and asking Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers to go and write it as a motion on appeal that will now force the prosecution and the prison to present their own lawyers in court. Omotosho is now trying to turn this little thing into a big thing, thereby turning into what would have just been a normal ex parte motion, which is a motion that can be granted in the absence of the other party. He is now turning it into a motion on notice. Brothers and sisters, Omotosho postponed this case to the 27th of January 2025 to enable the lawyers to file the motion on notice, and also for the prosecution and the prison authorities to respond and also appear in the court. Listen to this. The court adjourned to 27th of January 2026. Omotosho adjourns Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case seeking for Sokoto transfer to Abuja, insisting that the parties involved in the case must be put on notice. And remember that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has until the 18th of February to finish that filing. Of course, that is when the 90 days will expire. This is what I have to say, and this is me being on the spot. It is on record that the sentencing of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the worst judgment ever in the Nigerian history. It ranks top 3 in the highest injustice done by a judge. It ranks top 2 in the highest abuse of court. And it is top 1 in impunity in any case that has ever been cited in Nigeria's court. The judgment was given without cause to the UN Charter, which is Mandela law. The judgment was given with a bad heart and a bad taste. The judgment was given personally, not in line with the Constitution. And of course, that judgment was given in the absence of the defendant himself, as the judge kicked out Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from the court because he could not tolerate his presence any longer. Which is bad, because as a judge, you are supposed to be able to manage emotions. You are sentencing people to death, to hanging, to life, to lose their properties, to lose cases, to lose money. And you think they're going to be happy, most importantly, when they feel they stand a chance? You feel they will just clap hand for you? No. That is why they are in court. And that is why you should be matured enough to be able, to handle high-profile cases. And this is a few of the high-profile cases that has ever landed on your table, and you blew it. You blew it. That is why everybody is rejecting you and rejecting your court. Also, it is in the Constitution that a motion can be granted without the other party present. It is called an ex parte motion. Motion ex parte, where the other party is not involved. Yes. And that can be in form of search warrants, in form of, stop notice, quick notices here and there, stop works, cease and desist. These are ex parte motions that the court does not really need the other party to be present. When the court wants to summon somebody from somewhere or summon a person from the prison, you don't need to summon to ask the other party. The other party is no more a party to the case because the case is over. The person has gone. The person has been sentenced. There has been a sentence in a conviction, and that case is over. So you don't really need the presence of the prosecution in this. This is meant to be an ex parte motion. That was what it is. You are trying to turn it into a motion on appeal. Of course, a motion on appeal is a motion that the other party needs to be present before the judge can give judgment. So it's the opposite of ex parte motion. It's the opposite of ex parte motion, for you guys to understand. So when you say motion ex parte, judge can give instructions on your motion. Motion on appeal, the judge cannot give judgment without calling the other party. That is how it works. Now, Omotosho has been presented with a motion ex parte on this case for him to just give the judgment that Nnamdi Kanu should be brought in from Sokoto to so and so prison, or he should be allowed to do his appeal easily, or he gives requests to the prison authority for them to be able to help him on his appeal. Simple. He brought it from that and changed it and said, no, they must call the prosecution and they must call also the prison officers to be here in my court. How does that work? You are now the one changing the case, changing the pattern. It is because you feel you are in charge, so you can do as you like. You are abusing your office. This is the reason why. This is the reason why you are in this mess. because nobody trusts you anymore. Nobody trusts whatever you say. You have shown that whatever you did on that day of judgment was biased. You are now adding your personal powers because you have it now. You are now adding your personal powers to Nnamdi Kanu's case, of which you know goes against the rules of law and goes against the oath you took as a judge. I always say, if man was God, I wonder what man would have done. I wonder the world we have lived in today. I wonder the world would have lived in today. But thank God that man is not God that can detect how tomorrow will be. In the Igbo land, we have a proverb that says, Echi dime, tomorrow is pregnant, and you do not know what or how or when it's going to give birth. So Omotosho, you can continue doing what you're doing. Because as you can see, 27th of January is very close to the 18th of February, which is the last day for Nnamdi Kanu to file this appeal properly and completely. They are trying to frustrate the man so that he makes a mistake, or so that on that day of 27th, you can even strike it off, then he will not have enough time again. Let me tell you something. The game is on. Nnamdi Kanu is wiser than anything you can ever think, any person you can ever know. And whatever is in his mind, only he knows. And that has carried him so far to this point. I can only say that inferiority complex is worrying you. As a judge, you have inferiority complex. It's very bad. It's very bad. There is only one way this thing can lead you to. It can lead you to your own self-destruction. Self-destruction is where it will lead you to. One day, you retire. That is if you even get to the age of retirement. We keep on watching. We keep on seeing. We keep on learning every day. And we keep on keeping records. That is what we do. But as far as I'm concerned, the battle is not yet over. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, select the bell that says all to get notified whenever we release a video. Potters Family International, we are a family of truth, we are a family of purpose, and we are a family of faith. And with faith, we can move all mountains. Wherever you are around the world, God bless you. Remember that Igbo man around you is your brother. Please love, care, and help when you can. Till I see you next video. Peace.